G'day from beautiful Budapest, a couple of days after the Hungarian Grand Prix, and I have so many stories to tell you about what went on behind the scenes, stuff that you'll have no idea about, including Lando Norris's breaking of that trophy. Two races in a row, Lando's ended up on the podium. Last race in Silverstone, lots of people asked me if I got the shots of him banging his champagne bottle, well, his sparkling wine bottle, on the podium, and I didn't. Well, this time I was 100% ready, and as he hit that bottle on the deck, I saw the trophy topple over. At the time, I wasn't 100% sure what the damage was. Obviously, that became evident shortly thereafter. Now, as you probably know, it took a lot of people to make that. It cost a lot of money, and yes, it broke, but I don't think Lando was in any position to be stopping at that point and going, oh, look, I broke it. He was in the moment. Max was in the moment. So they continued on with the celebration. Max certainly wasn't too worried about it. Got a big smile on his face, and as the two left the stage, they were joking and carrying on. Yeah, shame it got broken, but it's not something that is irreparable. But then afterwards, I went down before the celebration that McLaren did to the McLaren motorhome, and I saw that trophy sitting up on the deck, and I was having a chat with one of the McLaren people, and he said, oh no, Lando's is broken too. They've actually siliconed that back together again. I'm not sure where that happened, but I trust the source. So that might be something you didn't know. But I'll come back to the celebration and the broken trophy a little later on in this video. Right, let's go back to Thursday, day one of the event, and Daniel Ricciardo's return. In fact, I won't go into too much detail because I've done a whole video on that. Go and have a look. It was great to see Daniel and Oscar, two Australians, in the press conference at exactly the same time. The last time we saw two Australians racing against each other was back in 2013. Now, I need your full attention for this. I'm giving away 2 pure electric scooters. How do you enter? You go to my Instagram page and look for this giveaway post. Entry is super simple. We'll send it anywhere in the world, and you want to get onto it right now. Go to Instagram and register. One of the great things about this city is the number of people that are out and about at night waiting for drivers out the front of the hotels, the likes of the Aria, Kempinski, Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons, and others. I caught Lando and Oscar arriving back to their hotel on the Wednesday night. Lots of you have sent me vision of the drivers driving their cars to and from the track. Charles Leclerc came in one morning late for an engineering meeting, and as such he ran down the paddock, unable to stop for any of the fans. George Russell was popular. He came to a function here on one of the evenings just opposite the hotel for Tommy Hilfiger. He came in with about 6 or 7 security guards, and not even his manager could get anywhere near him. They were ushering his manager away. He was saying, hey, I'm with him. He did the function, came back into the Kempinski, and then he got changed into a different shirt, and then security, as you can see here, marched him through the lobby. On the subject of George Russell, have a look at this. This was the sign in front of his car park on Thursday. Notice something? It's missing an L. Later on in the morning, they came out with a marker pen and fixed that up. And then the day after, they fixed it up with a proper sign. But well done for them actually realising they'd made an error. And I'm not even sure George saw it, because I mentioned to his trainer a little later, had they seen it, and he seemed oblivious to it. So I think they probably got away with it. Well, they would have if I hadn't mentioned it perhaps now. What about Nico Hülkenberg's hair? I had pre-warning because he did put a post up where I saw he had blonde hair. I caught him coming into the track, asked him why. He said just for a change. Then he went up into the press conference, did that, and as he came out, Max Verstappen stopped him. And I wish I'd had a wide-angle lens, because there was quite a lovely interaction between the pair. Max asking why and him responding, just a bit of fun, and off they went in their different directions. Sergio Perez's crash on Friday, was I anywhere near that? You're not close enough to get the crash, but I did go afterwards and capture him walking off the track, and at the time I thought, well, like you, that's not good news for poor Sergio. He needed a better result, and thankfully he bounced back with that third place on Sunday. As you probably know, a lot of the drivers come in on Thursday in casual gear. I miss Zhou Guanyu because he went to the far entrance, but Fernando Alonso was in casual gear, and it's nice to see them outside of their normal team kit. What was Pierre Gasly wearing? Well, he came in a Subi shirt. My son likes this brand. Funny too that we were walking in together chatting, and I mentioned the fact that Kika has certainly made quite an impact, because someone mentioned that his girlfriend was on page 3 of The Sun in London. And then he commented that she had paparazzi following her in Madrid, and I'd actually seen those pictures prior to talking to him. So rest assured, Kika's following has very quickly grown. What's she at now? 426,000 followers. This was Kevin Magnussen's first race as a dad of 2, and Nico Hülkenberg was very quick to catch up with him and congratulate him when he arrived on Thursday. And did I get any funny faces from Nico over the weekend? Yes, a couple to add to my growing collection. What about drivers, wives and girlfriends and parents? Who do we have? A handful there. Charles Leclerc's girlfriend, Alexandra, was in attendance, as was Valtteri's girlfriend, Tiffany Cromwell. Fernando's rumoured girlfriend, Melissa, was there in attendance, obviously working. She works as a reporter. Gunter Steiner's wife was there. Gertrude actually had dinner next table to us in Nobu on Thursday night, and they are a funny and lovely pair. Yuki Tsunoda's mum and dad were in attendance, and as I've said before, Nobuaki has some of the finest style in the paddock. Now, after last race at Silverstone, when we had all of the APX crew there, and I believe the crew numbers about 200, which is a phenomenal number of people. And I think they originally asked for a lot more passes for the grid than what they were actually granted. But were they at the track this weekend? Yes. Their motorhome was there. They had their garage, although this race, instead of being between Ferrari and Mercedes, in the middle of pit lane, they were moved down to the far end. They had far fewer crew, I think probably around 60 instead of 200. No actors, they were on strike, and certainly a lot less camera gear. But yes, they had their hospitality suite in the paddock. And what were they filming? Primarily cars on track. When's the movie going to come out? Well, I'm thinking between 1 and 2 years from now. And how many more tracks will they be at? Well, Monza, definitely, and I believe Las Vegas. Now, on Thursday, I saw this in pit lane. I can't remember ever seeing a team having a car marked on plastic on the ground. And obviously, it's to allow them to make up their pit box. Now, if you've followed photos of this event from previous years, you'll know that this is quite an iconic photo with this, I gather, a water tower in the background. So on the Wednesday, I drove up and actually found that. It's about 800 metres from the track and sits in a little paddock here. And from this spot, I took this picture for a completely different angle. And on the subject of what's around the track, this is quite an iconic piece of art, I guess. This is what you see at the main roundabout when you get off the freeway. Now, I mentioned before I'm staying here at the Kempinski Hotel in the heart of Budapest, right opposite the big Ferris wheel, which is worth a trip around. But I am going to recommend something to you. Go to the Bistro restaurant here in the Kempinski. Have a great meal, but then order the spaghetti ice cream. Have a look at this. My gosh, this is a work of art. And the banter that goes on when they serve this meal is just gold. Spaghetti ice cream, I love it. Sunday, race day, and I was in the media centre and I heard the Australian National Anthem playing. And it took me a while to recognise it because we don't hear it that often these days. Well, congratulations to Jack Doohan, who won his race in F2. And I believe that in 1990, his dad Mick, who was at the race with him on the weekend, chalked up the first of his 50-plus wins in his MotoGP career, which is a lovely parallel. Some of you ask, do the drivers ever have fun with us or talk to us? Yes, when it's quiet and there's not too much media around, drivers can be very chatty and sometimes playful. And I'll give you an example. Esteban Ocon, Sunday morning, I was on my own, taking photos of him arriving, and he kept getting closer and closer and closer, and obviously getting out of focus. At this point, the camera went almost dark. So thank you, Esteban, for having some fun. I did send him the final picture and said might be a nice Instagram post for him. Haven't seen it yet. Here's a question you should ask me. What were my 2 most popular Instagram posts over the weekend? Well, thank you for asking. This one was my biggest, without a doubt. 70,000 plus likes, which is about top 15 for me. Simple picture of Daniel's garage, and that was on the Wednesday, with this one here being the second most popular on Sunday, with Max and Lando's wry grins on their face following that celebration. Now, after the podium, both teams had celebration shots. Now, typically, Red Bull does it either in the paddock or in pit lane, but obviously they couldn't because there were pack-ups going on, so I couldn't believe it when they ended up on the podium. Now, that doesn't happen very often at all, and of course they had their spraying of Red Bull, which is always a trademark. Mercedes sprays champagne. What does McLaren spray? Nothing. They have no spray. It was just simply 2 shots of everybody cheering. And just prior, Zak Brown picked up the trophy and mockingly went to throw it on the ground. Let's talk the grid. Were there heaps of stars like there were in Silverstone? No, hardly anyone really. Who do we have? We had Jerry Bruckheimer, producer of the Apex movie and also Top Gun. Wolfgang Puck, the legendary restaurateur, some 70 restaurants around the world. He was in attendance. And probably the next biggest name was this man, Terry Crews, who you might remember from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, a show that I love and certainly my sons do as well. And coming up for the Belgian Grand Prix, have a look at the Alfa Romeo livery. I love it, but this is very clever marketing-wise. What is it? Well, apparently Kick, being a streaming platform, offers their people 95% of what's raised in terms of revenue, whereas their competitor, Twitch, offers 55%. For me, being a marketing guy, I applaud them for their clever use of that signage. At this point, I've got a dash, so I'm going to direct you to prostarpics.com for all of my digital images, kimellman.com for F1 photo books, signed driver prints, wall art and merchandise, and for my best images live from the track and during the week, go to Instagram and search @KimEllman and register to win that scooter. Thanks for watching, and stay passionate.
I'm back for round 2.
I even
Morning, everyone.
I even used a picture of you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. See you later.
Yeah.